call Jokic a potato, Jay.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's key.
Was that something that was going on? I mean, I wasn't saying that it was a bad thing. I'm just saying this.
Hey, but by the way, when the headline is KJM calls Jokic a potato, it doesn't say, context. It wasn't a bad thing. It was nobody's ever going to think about that as a compliment.
That's it. It's an interesting thing that you say that, because if you said something, I mean, you'll own it and all of those sort of things. But I actually was saying it as just an expression about how, it's boring to me, even though I like it. Like, I like potatoes. I like it. I got to put something on it, because if I just eat it without something, then it's just like, whatever. I mean, think about it. When we go to restaurants, we load up all sorts of stuff on it. We don't just say, hey, give us a potato, because it's boring. And that's all I'm saying.
Yes.
We still order it. That's all I'm saying.
I just want you to know, Key, the words that pop are potato and boring. Nothing else really pops from what you just said.
All the other words you might as well not say.
So am I really the only person? Think about this, Jay, because I know I'm not. But am I really the only person that thinks, no matter how great he is in MVPs and championship now, that his style is a little sleepy? Am I the only person? Because I know I'm not. I know that for a fact.
See, I like watching him play a lot. I find the great passers to be the most interesting guys to watch, other than the guys who can do that and jump out the gym, right? But I like watching the great passers better than the great shooters, to tell you the truth, although he does both.
Okay, I mean, stylistically, right? Is it similar to, like I said, Embiid has more of a guard R&B style to him, right? It seems like it's more pleasurable, like to the eye. If you're just a viewer of the game, you just want to see style. You're like, all right, like that style looks dope. You watch Jokic, it's unorthodox, right? It looks different. It doesn't look like anybody else.
Passes look fresh.
I don't think one time since I've been watching him that he snatched the ball and he sweep through. Embiid, I've seen him do that, Jay, right?
It's like a guard,
Bam,
yeah.
Sweep through.
Yeah.
I've seen him yank through. And I just, it's like, okay.
Embiid has some little man skills and a big body and looks it. And Jokic, even though he has little man skills, it still looks like a big man doing it.
But even when Jokic runs, he runs with his shoulders. Have you noticed, right?
It's very up and down.
It's like instead of like the strides, like like how you see track athletes run, like Jokic runs with the shoulders first, like left shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, and like it's definitely its own unique style. Man.
Everything's
it
going
is.
up and down, up and down.
Look, if I had a chance to sign him and I was looking for that type of player, he'd be the first on the board. I mean, I'm not going to deny his ability to help me win a championship or nothing like that. It just looks weird. Jay's already at the cup, right? It's like, come on, man. Dude,
He's the king of the NBA right now. He's
so
he's the number
tall
one dude.
and long. Like, when he goes to dunk, he gets off the ground this much. Right, Jay? I mean,
barely jump on the curb. Yeah.
It's like,
but hey, that's a game that ages like fine wine, no Key.
no, I get it.
It would be
I
nice
understand.
if he could defend the rim. If he was a rim defender.
Why do we always have to make him more?
Because
I'm not making him more at all.
Even defensively, he looks bad at times on defense. Overall, he's not terrible on defense, but as a big, he does not give you rim protection. That's true.
He played pretty well in Game 5.
Yeah,
the dude just won a championship, and we're talking about the things he doesn't do.
But no one's perfect.
I didn't talk about the things that he doesn't do. I'm talking about his style. It just, when I watch it, I'm like, okay, it's cool.
So, would you rather? Would you? Okay, so like I ask myself these type of questions. Would I rather have somebody whose style I'm like, oh, that style is beautiful, but like we don't win, or would I rather have somebody's style who I think is a little bit unorthodox, but I'd rather play with? I'd much rather have the latter all day long.
Yeah, Jokic is the best player in the NBA. You want to win a championship, and you can pick one guy, he gets you closest.
I'm not worried about style, Key, as much as I'm worried about results.
I'm the same way. When I play football, I play with a bunch of quarterbacks, right? Everybody, oh, man, you ain't never had – I'm good with the dude I got. Because the dude I got, he going to make sure I get the rock. I'm going to make sure he look good. I'm going to help my team win.
Were you good with the dudes?
Lies,
I don't hear you say that constantly on this show.
That kind of self-deception stops you from winning more Super Bowls.
I feel like you just made that to frame your argument when that's not really how you feel.
Your quarterbacks were so good, you played with 17 different ones.
That wasn't my fault.
Well, I'm just saying. So if you play with better quarterbacks, you play with 3 instead of 17.
That sounds like a winning culture. I did my job.
I did my job, man. I did my job. I've never been accused of not being a locker room guy, Jay. Never. Not one time.
You know the dudes, like when you come in the locker room after the game, they got the stat sheet. They be like, damn, I had 24 and 13.
Yeah, I didn't need to do that, Jay.
I did my thing.
Jay,
the
I didn't
stats
need
set
to
it
go.
for themselves, Key.
No, I know what I had in the game. I ain't even. I know. Hey, look. I speak receiver.
I know fluently. Yeah.
Yes.
I know. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had these many touches in the first quarter. Say, man, y'all gotta give me the ball, dog. I had 3 touches. Y'all threw the ball to me 4 times. But anyway, all joking aside, I like him, like I said. And if I was looking for that type of player, he'd be the first on the board.
But that type of player, like if you have to order the players in the NBA, he's on top, right? And it's not on top right now the way, as I said yesterday, Dirk Nowitzki or maybe Kevin Garnett at one point or another they're in their careers for one season, you might say, man, that's the best player in the NBA, because this was a build. Back-to-back MVPs, almost 3 in a row. Soon as his team gets healthy, championship. It ain't close. They're smoking everybody.
But he answered the call, Max. And last year, we would have been having a conversation about who needs a championship the most.
Yeah.
You would have said Nikola Jokic, right?
Yeah, he was up there.
I don't believe this back-to-back MVP. Is it really deserving? Is Denver really going to be that team? And they answered it.
More than Denver be that team, you're absolutely right, Jay, that the back-to-back MVPs, the reason he didn't get 3 in a row, same with Giannis, right, is they're like, whoa. Yeah, you're good in the regular season. If you were really as good as it looks in the regular season, you would have chipped up by now. So no one benefited more retroactively than from a championship than Jokic. Now it legitimizes everything he's done.
See, I don't think he didn't get the third one, Max, because they were terrible down the stretch in the regular season.
Yeah. Embiid jumps to mind as the guy who would most benefit. Like Embiid, is he a top 5? Yeah, maybe he's the 4th or the 5th best player. But if Embiid won a championship, given how well-rounded his skills are on both ends of the floor, if you talk all around center play, both ends of the floor, the most skillful guy, now you're talking Embiid all time in terms of skills on both ends and that at that size. If he won a championship, we would start saying, where is he on the all-time list? Who else is like that in sports? You don't have to talk about basketball in sports.
Jason Tatum. I mean,
Tatum's a great call.
Jason Tatum has had some prolific games. I mean, this roster has been together for a pretty extensive time. How many times do we have this conversation about whether we're going to break Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown up, or are they going to be together? I know Joe Mazzulla's first year as a head coach, but how many times has this team gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals? We saw them get to the NBA Finals. Like, how does Jason Tatum get over the hump? It does feel like there's a lot of pressure on what they're doing, considering Jaylen Brown made All-NBA. He's going to get a Supermax deal. Are they going to give him the deal? Like, when are we going to see that result to them winning a championship?
So Michael Wilbon, we'll stick in the NBA on PTI, of course, was talking about who's under the most pressure now to win an NBA title. Check this out.
There are players who are entering their primes, maybe not there yet, not really there, but great players, like Luka Doncic, okay, who's been on the short list for MVP. We don't know what's going to happen with John Morant's career, but great player. Devin Booker, great player, been to the finals, hasn't won. And then there are older guys who've been close, conference finals or finals twice. Jimmy Butler, Dame Lillard, conference finals once. There's guys, Tony, for whom the train seems to have left the station, although they're going to the Hall of Fame on the first battle. Harden, Westbrook, Chris Paul, Hall of Fame, no argument. And then there's Joel Embiid, who's got an MVP now and hadn't been to the conference finals. And to me, the number one guy on this list, the number one guy is Jason Tatum. Been to the finals. You know, Jimmy Butler's been twice as many times, but Jason Tatum is the number one guy on the clock to me.
Great minds think alike.
I disagree with you. You think he's more on the clock than Embiid?
Yes.
Think about
Embiid has yet to be out of the second round.
That's what I'm saying.
Jason Tatum has been to the NBA Finals and came up empty.
No, you're not going to look at Embiid and Jason Tatum and say, man, if he chips up, he's going to be better than KD or LeBron or something like that. But if Embiid chips up, we will start to look and go, wait a minute, he's had some of the greatest statistical seasons of all time. He's a monster rim defender, period. He has a huge influence on the game on both ends. If he wins a championship, we start talking about where does Embiid rank all time? Just like we're doing with Jokic now.
You don't think that for Jason Tatum's infatuation with Kobe Bryant and cut from that cloth, if he were to become dominant and win the NBA, we would be talking about him as one of the best two-way guards in the league, one of the best wings in the league?
I think we would, but I think we talk about him that way now. I do think, of course, it helps him, but I don't think we're starting to say, hey, how does Tatum stack up to well, he's not really a guard. He's we're not going to compare him to Kobe and MJ. We would say to KD or Larry Bird or one of the scoring forwards. I don't think he'd be there yet. I think he'd have a lot more work to do.
I think you're just recently hyped because Jokic won it, so now it's like, what's the response by Joel Embiid? But that doesn't by any means diminish what Boston has been knocking on the door and can't get over the hump.
All right.
Embiid, 29.
He
Jason Tatum, 25.
See, Tatum and Luka are victims of their own precociousness. They were so good and had so much playoff success at such early ages. People are like checking their watches. Come on, guys, hurry up. Man, if it takes Tatum another 3 years to chip up, he's right on schedule. 28. That's still pretty young. But 29 for a big man, Embiid, I think the clock is ticking. He's got to get one while he's in his prime, while he's doing historically great things.
I hear you on that, but it's also Embiid's game, and we'll see what Nick Nurse can actually come up, because I think tactically he is genius. There's no doubt about that. Nick Nurse, one of the best coaches in the league, to open up Joel Embiid's game. But it feels like Jokic has way more say in his involvement in the offense to kind of push that narrative more so than Joel Embiid needs. Like, still, Jokic
is a better
needed
passer
Jamal Murray, too.
He's
right?
a better passer than Embiid.
So, like, who's the sidekick for Joel Embiid? Like, is that
Maxey.
James Harden? Like, is it a young Maxey that you're waiting to see come on the scene? Right. Like, who is it consistently? Right? Whereas you look at Jason Tatum, like, you know who the sidekick is.
Timing's not right. Maxey's a little young. Harden's a little old. I hear you.
There's always some kind of injury for Joel Embiid. I hear what you say. He needs it, but it always seems like the stars get in his way.
He's not in a position, as I agree with this, he's not in a great position to get it as some other guys. I'm just saying he would benefit tremendous. I don't think anyone would benefit more except maybe Damian Lillard, Key.
Yeah, but I think Embiid needs more out of Tatum and Embiid. And you go through the entire process. Oh, there he goes. You go through the beginning of a whole process situation, Jay, and you think about it. You know, you from the time that he stepped in Philadelphia to where he is today, they've gone through 2 head coaches. Okay, now they're going through 3. Yes, you could say, well, you know, James Harden, whatever the case is, he hadn't gotten out the second round. At least Tatum has gotten to a championship. He understands what the confetti for the other team looks like. He gets that. Embiid's yet to be able to experience that, and he is supposed to be the guy. Tatum doesn't have an MVP trophy. Embiid has one now.
Yeah, think about the way David Robinson was a slightly better player than Patrick Ewing, but he's got 2 chips. He's in a different conversation than Patrick Ewing. Different conversation because he got the chips. Or think of, there's a reason I say Damian Lillard is think of point guards, right? We will not put, like Stockton a lot of years was considered better than Isaiah Thomas, but we're not going to put him in the same category as Isaiah because Isaiah led a team to 2. Stockton got zip even with Jordan out of the league. That even though he was on a really good team, right? It makes there's a whole bunch of point guards who were amazing and never got a chip while they were in their primes. Maybe they glommed onto a team after their primes and got one, not the same. Damian Lillard gets a chip. We start talking about him really in history as time goes by with guys like Steph and Isaiah and those guys.
I agree with you on that. Can we go back to Embiid for a second, though? There is a big part of me that feels as if Philly has been one of the reasons why Joel Embiid has not gotten one, plus injuries, right? So who did Philly choose over Jimmy Butler? Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. How has that worked out, right? Daryl Morey comes in, hey, James Harden, okay. They get there, they have a chance, it poo-poos, it doesn't work. Joel Embiid gets injured last year, the facial injury. And I'm looking at the Boston Celtics saying, okay, with Jason Tatum, your core has been together. Yes, Key, he's been to an NBA championship, but what happened in that NBA championship? You felt like they weren't ready yet. You felt like they shrunk, right? And then coming into it this year, they were one of the favorites. We were talking about them being there when it mattered the most. What did we see them do against a lesser Miami Heat team? We saw them lose, right? Even in the game 7, you felt like they were talented. They're not. So it feels like how many times can you knock on the door before it's like you got to run through the door and get it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you start talking about Tatum, though, Coach, he has time.
Yes.
Yeah, but it feels like maybe he doesn't have time because they're about to blow it up.
He's got time.
In his career,
even if they, there you go, Max.
Yeah.
His career, even if they decide to hit the detonator, and it explodes. He can either stay there, they can move him somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Well,
Same with Joel Embiid.
No, he's 29, and he's had a history of injuries, and he's big.
He's older, he's injury prone, he's a big. They may decide, what if James Harden decides to go to Houston? Just say, you know what, I'm gone.
Or think about this, Key, or Jay, take Tatum. Let's say he makes the finals, loses, gets knocked out in the second round, loses in the conference finals. Those 3 years. Then the following year where you've had it up to here with him, you got to win. He'll be Embiid's age right now. Like, he's got time. He's got runway. And his game is portable, wouldn't you say? He can defend. Obviously, he can score any which way. He's got a portable game. A big with a back and knee history who got drafted 3rd because of injury concern, who's missed a lot of time, who's also had freak injuries, who's also, by the way, playing at historically great levels like Embiid. He had just one of the greatest seasons ever. If you look at the scoring per minute, ridiculous. Plus, he's a defender, a 7-footer, wide body, athletic. I mean, a championship for him would be legacy enhancing. I don't think anyone in the game, maybe with the exception of Lillard, because he's really running out of time. I'm trying to think of who's even in their category, right?
But Lillard's
where would it catapult him
Embiid?
in your mind?
Oh, immediately you're asking who deserves to be higher on the list, Embiid or David Robinson? He's ahead of Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, all those guys. Probably Embiid ahead of David Robinson, just like that. Embiid or Olajuwon. Embiid, people are going to start looking at it like his game is modern, so there's more of it, and he's a two-way player, and he's a real footer, really 7 feet at least, right? And he's done historically great things. You look at the numbers, it's ridiculous. He's scoring more per minute than like anyone ever. It's crazy. I think Jokic, remember I argued he's going to start to get in that top 12 to 15 argument with the chip? I think I was right. I think Embiid is going to be at least that if he chips up, at least that. Jokic is the best player in the NBA. He's the best player in the NBA.
I've said that already, Max. I don't need to continue to walk. I don't need to walk anything back.
I'm saying
said what I said.
Part of what's interesting about him are the pictures, and he's in much better shape nowadays, as you can see, are the pictures on social media from when he was a kid. He was a fat kid, and you look at him and you go, oh, wow, that turned out to be the best player in the world. That is a good thing. It's not no one's making fun of him.
And on top of that, no, I'm making fun of him, and I'm making fun of him because he's boring. Okay, when you celebrate your championship and you look at the champagne bottle, Jay, and you just look at it and go, and then throw it away. I mean,
yeah, well, hold on. Let me rephrase.
There's a part of me that really likes the fact that all this cat wanted to do was get back home.
Yeah. I never said that was a problem.
No, I didn't say you were. I'm making my own point. I never said that you were, Key. I'm making my own independent point. The fact that he won it, and they're like, when's the parade? And they're like, Thursday. He's like, I want to go home. I'm like, cool. I rock with that.
I want to clean something up because, yes, I am making fun of him in a way. If you say, he's shaped like a potato, you're making an observation that is meant to make light of something. But understand, when you do that about a dude in his prime on top of the world who just won championships, I have to be able to finish the thought. Hold on.
That's how I feel, Max.
Because I don't care about how anyone else feels but me.
Obviously.
So when you do that, it's okay. He's powerful. It actually is a good example to kids who may be shaped like that, right? As kids. That's okay. When it's not as okay to make fun of someone is when they're powerless, when they're no good, and you're clowning them. So I don't think there's anything wrong with saying if Key feels his style is boring and it reminds him of a potato, or if I say, yeah, he was shaped like a potato, that's okay. He's the best player in the world.
So wait. That made no sense.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're saying don't make fun of somebody when they're powerless, but when somebody has power, it's okay to make fun of them?
Sure. Yeah,
no,
you can
it's
make,
not. It's
not.
When somebody wins a championship,
Yeah.
and somebody's deemed as the best player in the world, and people say that their body looks like a potato, you are making fun of them.
Yeah, but that gives hope. But wait, Jay, that's an example that disproves a stereotype, or even if you want to call it a stereotype, a commonly held perception that may often be true, that someone who looks a certain way can't do a certain thing. When someone who does disproves it, that's a good thing.
You saying that does, but you saying that somebody's body looks like a potato, that is making fun of somebody.
That's okay.
That's cool. Just call for what it is. Just own it. You know, if we're in the locker room, we talking trash, and talk trash and own it. Don't try to justify it.
Look, I'm not. Okay. I didn't. First of all, I didn't call his body.
I didn't say you did, Key.
No,
you said his game.
You said his game.
But I think people interpret it.
Well, people are. I can't. Max, again, you know me. I can give two damns about the way people interpret. Listen to the damn show. Pay attention. Don't catch a snippet. Okay? Enough of that. At the end of the day, he is one hell of a player. And if you don't want his body to look like a potato, then that's fine. That's what Max says. Max is making light of it. It's okay. If you say somebody's soft, their body looks like a sponge. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on.
No,
Where are we at now?
Furthermore, I think that when people show that picture, wait a minute. There are a lot of kids.
I saw this picture.
There are a lot of kids that look like that who look at Jokic and go, oh, damn, that dude turned out to be one day the best player in the world. That's a good thing.
Well, I look like that now, so, and I'm not a kid. See how I did that, Jay? Now you smile. Look at you. I see you all in smiling ear to ear.
I'm kicking it. Y'all got it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.